All right, box and whisker plots, part 2. All right, this time we're not making them. We've already made them. You know how to make them. We're going to interpret the box and whisker plots. So you've already been given one. Somebody else made it for you. Now you just have to be able to read it. Okay? So here's my question to you. The box and whisker plot shows the daily snowfall during the last 12 days. So they made that. What percent of the daily snowfall recorded lies between 14 and 18 millimeters? So we have 14 millimeters and we have 18 millimeters. So how much of the data falls in between there? So from here to here, what percentage is that? Well, let's label everybody. We got quartile 1 here, quartile 2 there, quartile 3 there. So they're talking about data that falls between quartile 1 and quartile 3. How much did I say each section is worth? What percentage? 25, 25, 25, 25. So, how much is in that middle section? It would be 50%, okay? 50% of the daily snowfalls recorded fall between quartile 1, let's use their numbers, 14 millimeters and 18 millimeters. That's where half of the data falls. Right? Okay. Next one. Okay. We need to learn a new vocabulary word. Alright? So you have this picture. You do have this picture. Make sure it's down. What is the interquartile range, or the IQR, for this data set? New word. Write it down because I'm going to go over it. Interquartile range. We'll just take a stab at it. It's got to be talking about what? It's got to be talking about these little quartiles right here, and probably the numbers that fall with them. Okay? I'm going to tell you how to find it. So here we go. The interquartile range, or it might be just referred to as IQR, is the difference between the upper and lower quartiles. Difference means what operation? Whoopsie. Whoopsie. Subtraction. So we subtract quartile 3 from quartile 1. Okay? We know how to subtract. We can do that. Let me get rid of this. It shows the range of the middle 50% of the data. So think back to our measures of central tendency video. Range meant what? The high minus the low. Well, we're doing the same thing. The high is our quartile 3. The low is the quartile 1, and we're subtracting the two to find our IQR, or our interquartile range. So go ahead and do that, okay? What is that? So we knew what's between 12 and 16. Well, that's 14. And what's between 16 and 20? That's 18. So what is it? It's 18 minus 14, which is an IQR of 4. Okay? Very good. Let's try one more. Another set of data. You do this one and I'll show the answer. So pause it, find the answer. 36 minus 24 equals 12. Okay? Now, I want to compare these, so I'm going to flip back and forth for just a second. Look at how low this number was. This number was only 4. Is my data pretty compact in between that box? Yeah, it's pretty tight. So if your interquartile range is low, then that means the data is pretty consistent within that box. It's not very spread out, okay? The numbers are similar. Now look at this one. This IQR was 12, and look at how big that box is. Look how spread out that data was, okay? So that kind of can tell you the spread that your data has. If the numbers are like 5, 5, 5, or if they're like 5, 10, then 15. Okay? Alright. New vocabulary word. Because I know you love vocabulary words. Outliers. Okay? It's just somebody, it just doesn't fit. Or it skews the data. Okay? If I have the numbers 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 100, who's my outlier? It's 100. It doesn't fit. It doesn't go with it. Everybody else was nice and tight, and then off comes this random 100 and wants to be part of the party. You're not invited, 100. Okay? Outliers. Get that definition, please. Okay. Write this down, pause it, and then I'm going to talk about it, because that's a lot on the screen. Okay? Write it down, pause, and I'll talk to you in just a second. Okay, here we go. This is the same data that we just used in the part 1 video. I didn't even change the data, I just brought it over. Okay? This is the same hand that we created in the last video. Just brought it over so it would already be found for you. Okay? You have to be able to calculate the outliers mathematically. It's not enough just to say that, oh, 100 is so far from 5, he can't possibly be part of the data set. Okay, you have to be able to do it mathematically. And I'm going to show you how to do that, but you need to stick with me. Any point, or I should say value, that has a distance from quartile 1 or quartile 3 that is more than 1.5 times the IQR, it is an outlier. Alright, that probably sounded like German. Here we go. You have to calculate the IQR first. Okay, I just showed you how to do that. Calculating the IQR. It's the Q3 minus the Q1. Alright, so we know how to do that. So we've already done this data here. Q3 minus Q1. Well, my Q3 I found was 11, and my Q1 was 4. So my IQR was 3. Alright, we good there? We're good there. More than 1.5 times. Well, what does that mean? What do I have to do with that 3? I have to multiply it by 1.5. Okay? So anybody who is more than 4.5 places or value, their value is 4.5 away from the quartile 1 or quartile 3, you're out. Okay? Doesn't work. You're an outlier. So let me show you what that looks like. Okay? We've calculated the IQR. We've figured out the value that's going to give us our outliers. Okay? There's a lot of steps. So here we go. This is the same stuff that was on the previous screen. IQR was 3, outliers, it's going to be 4.5. So here we go. Q1 was, I believe it was 4. Yes, it was. 4.5 to the left. Okay? So if I go 4.5 to the left, do I actually have any values that are past that? Look at that. If I go 4.5, do I end up with any numbers that were in my data set? So here we go. 3 minus 4.5 gives me negative 1.5. If I look at my data, do I have anybody that's past negative 1.5? No. So I don't have any outliers on that side. So we're okay with that. Do I have any outliers on the other side? Well, let's look. I got to go 4.5 in the other direction. So my Q3 plus my 4.5 so that I can go to the right. Am I going to end up with any outliers? Okay, so my Q3, that was 11. What's 11 plus 4.5? That's 15.5. Do I have any data that goes past 15.5? That's 16. He is an outlier. So he would technically be knocked out of our data set because he is an outlier. Okay? And then you would have to do all of this again. So this guy would be considered an outlier because he is more than 1.5 times the IQR. Okay? Let me get rid of this so you can see that. Pause it. Take this in. You cannot rush through this video at all. Alright, here you go. Try one more. You ready? Here's some data. First of all, I didn't get the lower extremes, the quartiles, and the upper extremes for you. You need to pause that and do that. Now, this is not a big set of data, so you can do that very quickly. Lower extreme, 21. Upper extreme, 41. Who's in the middle of all the data? Well, that's 25. Who's in the middle of the first half of the data? 23. Oh, did I mess that up? I think I did. Dang it. Because that's in the middle, and that should be 23. Let me fix that. Oh, let me get a pen. Darn it. 23. That's okay. So this guy was in the middle, then this guy was in the middle. That makes this guy in the middle. Did I mess that one up too? Oh, of course I did. Alright, let's change that. 33. Which means I messed up this, but that's okay, we can fix it together. How do I find my IQR? What two numbers have to be subtracted? Yes, let me fix that. 33 minus 23. Well, that's going to give me 10. Okay? There's my IQR. How do I calculate the outliers? What do I have to do? What's my okay range? It has to be 1.5 times the IQR. So the IQR was 10, and then 10 times 1.5. Well, that's going to give me, do it in your head. Can you do it faster than me? Should be 15, right? I don't want to make any more mistakes. So 15. Oh, my goodness, I'm not done yet. I haven't even found my outliers yet. So I've got to go 15 in each direction, from quartile 3 up and quartile 1 down. Okay? I'm going to get a calculator just to make sure. So let's see here. I didn't do these right. What should go here instead of 23.5? What should go there? Should be 23. Alright, so let's delete that. And then this one, what was my quartile 3? That was 33. Oh my goodness. Who makes these videos? 10. 10. Okay. Oh my goodness. Miss Sargent. I can go 15 in that direction, 15 in this direction. What's 23 minus 15? Minus 15. 8. Okay? Do I have anybody past 8 on my lower extreme, on that part of the data? No, I do not. Let's see. 33 plus 15. 48. Do I have anybody that is above 48? I do. Who would be considered an outlier? 49 would be considered an outlier. So I'd have to take him out. Alright? Pause that. I apologize for my confusion here. Look over it. We'll walk through it again. Try it one more time. Okay? This is a good website if you want. It just has practice problems. They were kind of on the right-hand side of the screen that you could go through for interpreting box and whisker plots. I just found it real quick. I'm sure there's plenty of other better ones out there. Pause this. Please watch this again. It is super helpful, and you must know how to read a box and whisker plot.